Continuing the setting of The Handmaid's Tale, only 15 years later, we'll have the sequel of the series called The Testaments. And even though we don't know just what Offred's fate will be in the end, with Gilead still at large, a new generation will have to rise to the occasion and draw inspiration from the past works of one of the bravest women at the time. Recap. Based on Margaret Atwood's prophetic 1985 novel, we got the Handmaid's Tale series that is streaming on Hulu, with the series' debut coming to the small screens back in 2017 and slowly but surely became one of the biggest hits on the planet. The main story of the series provided us with the political tension in the United States, with a setting that delivered us a dystopian version of the country, a period in the past where a totalitarian government has instituted itself and fertility rates dropping exponentially. Thus, women were stripped of many of their rights, with a few women who could bear children being assigned maternal roles by law.
We go everywhere in twos. It's supposed to be for our protection, for companionship.
First look. It was 2019 when Atwood announced that she will be bringing a sequel to the series called The Testaments, with fans both old and new experiencing a bundle of joy. The inspiration behind Atwood's work for the sequel, as she said, it was all taken from everything she was asked by the fans about Gilead and how the whole thing works, inside and out, with the book explicitly inspired by the world we're living in today, with certain events like Donald Trump's campaign and his election for president reminding us that we have yet to move from the kind of system on how Gilead did things back then. The sequel has also been said to be one of the most anticipated series of the modern age, and we'll be glad if the series lives up to the hype when it releases. The series set to be 15 years after the events of The Handmaid's Tale, and it'll pull a lot of its motives from what we've seen so far: the totalitarian Republic of Gilead, women's subjugation to men, low-ranking women forced to be handmaidens, and their sole purpose of existing to procreate, among many other things.
I think I heard that joke once. This wasn't the punchline.
The final moments saw Offred getting into a mysterious van, either to be set free or meet her death, and even though we still don't know what her fate will be, Atwood has cleared one thing for us, and that was the fact that Offred will personally not figure in the plot of the sequel. However, her past will loom over the events that are about to unfold. Gilead, still an oppressive patriarchal republic, even after 15 years, will play a huge role in the sequel, or so we've been told, with one of the main narratives of the upcoming series being centered on a mole who will be working with the Mayday resistance, and will do everything he or she has to do to bring the evil empire down, a short synopsis that was given to us by the short review of the book from the side of New York Times. And don't worry, your favorite character Offred will not be missed, as the story will be told from the perspective of 3 women, 2 of which are Offred's daughters, and we're more than certain that they will have their mother's spirit within them, with the 2 joined by the likes of Aunt Lydia and the brutal antagonist we know her to be. More from her perspective a little bit later, and even though the series has presented her as the unforgiving villain of the series, Atwood leans more towards Aunt Lydia being quite the complex character, one that will be the main instigator of things over the course of any future events that the upcoming sequel will entail.
But it did happen. Didn't it?
Release date. Nothing has been said about the potential month or even year of when the series might release. However, with the news of the series being ready to start with the production side of things, we can be happy because we'll probably have to wait no more than a year after The Handmaid's Tale finished before getting the sequel underway, with who knows how many seasons to come.
But where else on earth is the birth rate rising? Nowhere. Only in Gilead, because it works.
Cast. Aunt Lydia, from what we managed to find so far, will be the narrator of the sequel, with her role in the future events making her become the protagonist we always wanted her to be. Another focus of the series will probably be her work within the totalitarian system established in Gilead, with her trying to make it better, which will sometimes require her to do some less than admirable things. Occurring beside Aunt Lydia's narration of the story about how she rises to power within Gilead, we'll have 2 more stories told from the side of Agnes Jemima and Nicole, with the 2 lending their voice to talk us through. Agnes being adopted as a child, she is raised to become a commander's wife, with Nicole born in Gilead and smuggled to Canada by her parents at a very young age. 2 pretty different environments, right? Something the series will probably play with as the story goes, with the 2 somehow finding the thing that connects them, the subjugation of Agnes and the devotion of Nicole to study the neighboring country's rights regarding human violation, despite her not knowing her true origin. And we're saying this because we assume that the sequel will abide by the similar structure of the Handmaid's Tale series, with the stories of the protagonists being followed from up close and them becoming intertwined.
Use in being theatrical.
Plot. With every next season of The Handmaid's Tale, the so-called limited series managed to broaden itself, and what started as the story of Offred has become the story of Moira, of Emily, of Janine, the main protagonist of the series. However, the TV show was also kind to those who were willing to survive and thrive in Gilead. And the first character that comes to mind has to be Aunt Lydia, who together with the Waterford and Commander Lawrence were the main instigators for us to live the semi-supporting characters of the series. Anne Dowd, who plays Aunt Lydia in the Handmaid's Tale series, said, "At one point, it seemed like when Offred's story ends, that'll be the end of everything. However, as the news came, we, and particularly I, saw the opportunity and the setting given to us for what's coming, that it was never all about Offred, she was just one to move things forward. The first of many, as we came to learn, or will learn eventually." And this comment of Dowd's is probably what she expects from the future sequel series. Yes, we saw what Offred did, and what she had to do to get to where she'll eventually end up. But what about what is coming after her little movement? Does it stop right there, or is there something more? As we said before, June's story might be over, whichever direction it goes. However, Gilead is still present and at large, a totalitarian republic that will need more than just a nudge, just what Offred did, and the testaments will surely reflect upon just that. The series will surely touch upon Offred's story and clarify her fate, with everything she has done in the past having some kind of an influence on the events to come. And last but not the least, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the 5th season of The Handmaid's Tale, as the plot of that season will probably have even more influence taken from the books, something we have seen a little bit in the 4th season. It's a widely known fact that the last season of the series will have the biggest impact on the sequel. As for what exactly will that look like, you'll have to wait just a little bit longer.
Be as furious as we feel. Don't we have that right?
On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the sequel series to come? Do you think it would be the right decision to continue the story we've seen so far, even with the 15 years jump? Feel free to share your thoughts on the topic, especially knowing that the setting of the series will more or less be the same. But also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.